What's up, Cam?
Not a whole lot, Mitch. How are you?
Doing good. Hey, Super Bowl's tomorrow. Actually, I think that would be when we normally be recording, but this should be out right about the time the Super Bowl starts.
Gotcha.
So, so that's kind of funny.
It's going to be a great game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, isn't it, Mitch?
Or the Green Bay Packers and the Buffalo Bills. Who knows? So I could be really excited for the Super Bowl right now, or be really mortified that we didn't make it. So I'm pulling for the Packers.
Well,
hopefully they can take out Tom Brady and the group from down south. They are going to be at Lambeau tomorrow.
This is true
as we're recording. So it's good. It's going to be fun.
The Lions hired themselves a coach, and he mentioned biting people's kneecaps off in his press conference. So, we're off to a good start.
Oh, boy. You watching any new TV at all? Anything been catching your fancy?
New is in shows I haven't watched before, or new seasons of shows that I enjoy?
Doesn't have to be a brand new show, but
there's a show on ABC called The Rookie, starring Nathan Fillion as a old man rookie police officer that I enjoy. Season 3 is out now. First couple episodes. I enjoy it. It balances humor and drama and cultural things. And this past episode from last weekend that I actually watched last night was about police racism towards Black people and how that shakes out in a department where you have, white and Latino and Latina and Black police officers. And it tries to balance the heaviness with some levity and comedy, which I enjoy. And I'm a Nathan Fillion fan.
He hasn't been bad in anything he's been in. I've enjoyed him in everything.
No, because honestly, I think he just plays himself, right? And if you can do that in Hollywood, you're set, right? Just be yourself, like Ryan Reynolds. He's just himself in his movies, and it just so happens that he's funny, right? But Nathan Fillion actually reminds me a lot of my uncle, so that's a bit odd. So I enjoy that show. Obviously, I've been watching a lot of college basketball, Michigan Wolverines, and I have restarted watching Lost.
That's a good show.
I haven't rewatched it since it ended 10 years ago. So I'm only 3 or 4 episodes in, but I'm already remembering oh, this is going to happen. And that, that's foreshadowing for this. There's one point where John Locke is on the beach and he's teaching Walt backgammon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's it's the oldest game in history, light versus dark. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much foreshadowing for the rest of the show that you have no idea it's foreshadowing unless you watch it through. And so I'm starting to pick up on a lot of the little stuff.
Yeah, there's so much depth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm quite excited to watch through that. But like I said, I'm only 3 or 4 episodes in. So there's plenty more to go, but yeah, I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, that show is as good, if not better, on a rewatch.
I imagine it's going to be better than the first time.
Speaking of rewatching, I'm rewatching The Office. I bought that on iTunes. They had it on sale for $30 for the entire series.
Oh wow!
So I couldn't when it was $70 or $80 before that.
Yeah,
I was like, I gotta pick that up.
No, I tried The Office again. And I got through 4 or 5 episodes, and I was like, "Oh, this is so painful." Don't get me wrong, it's funny, but there's moments where it's just
mm-hmm.
"Oh no, you can't say or do that." No, episode 2 is Diversity Day.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Oh, the whole episode, I just wanted to crawl out of my body. It was so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So uncomfortable.
So I really think that. And I'm waiting for it because I'm just into season 2 right now. I'm just a few episodes into season 2. I'm already seeing a little bit of the mellowing of that kind of stuff. It's just shading at that mellowing out, because I do think that mellows out after a while. They realize that some of the stuff just kind of went too far. But yeah, that Diversity Day episode is
oh my gosh,
the worst. it makes you cringe through the whole episode because Michael Scott just doesn't get it.
But he thinks that he does, right? And that's what makes it even worse. It's like, oh my gosh. And there's people like that. And it's just, oh.
I'll tell you though, the story between Jim and Pam though, I am so looking forward to reliving that. Because I'm just I just got past the Dundies episode where, she gets drunk and kisses him. And and I love how the first episode or two makes you think that they're together. Mm-hmm. There's nothing expressly said, but just the way they talk, you're just like, oh yeah, they've totally got to be together.
Yeah, and then Roy shows up and ruins everything.
Yep. I'm really looking forward to following that office romance again. So, all right. The whole reason I brought that up is I wanted to talk about WandaVision. I don't know if you've got a chance to see WandaVision on Disney Plus.
No, I've seen enough commercials to make me go, yeah, not interested at all. Looks super weird.
It is super weird. Yeah. The first two episodes are totally like 50s sitcom. And in the last episode, there was just a little bit of color creeping into it. And there's a lot of these like little uncomfortable moments where they're playing on this. They don't realize that they're in some kind of alternate universe kind of thing. I didn't read the comic, but apparently the comic book, this is just basically a take on the comic book. That's the impression that I get, is that they're stuck in kind of this alternate reality. And you start to see cracks of it even in the first episode. So it's really going to be interesting to watch this and see where they go with it and how they progress through it. But the first couple episodes, I'm hooked. I like it. My wife is really into it. She likes it too. So
I'm sure I'll get to it eventually, but just looked, because I thought maybe like, oh, maybe they're stuck inside. Like maybe this is all in Vision's head, when he gets messed up in one of the, MCU movies, but I didn't realize there was a whole comic background. So
yeah, there's background to this. I thought that, and I could totally be wrong about this. This is not what I would consider a spoiler for the episode because I haven't revealed any of this yet. But I thought that it had something to do with her, that she had basically dreamed this all up, and that she's stuck in this reality with him without realizing that she's creating all of this. So, but something like that. But I could be wrong. It could go a totally different direction. All right. Well, this episode we've talked a lot about some of the bigger apps and stuff like that we use on the Mac. I want to talk a little bit today about all the unsung heroes on the Mac, whether it's menu bar apps or just all the little supporting cast of apps that we use that help us get our work done every day. So did you have something you wanted to start out with?
Yeah, Fantastical, which we've mentioned before, but like here's the deal, folks. When you're on a Windows machine and you click in the bottom right corner of your start bar where there's the date and the time, what happens? A calendar pops up. Super useful, right? To have a calendar a click away. When I click on the date and time in my Mac menu bar, guess what pops up? My notifications and my widgets. Weird place to hide those. So, Fantastical has a menu bar app that's part of, the Mac app purchase. So now I just go over to my little calendar icon, click on that, and Bob's your uncle. I have a calendar along with stuff going on today and tomorrow. So, Apple, why don't you have a calendar in your menu bar? So now I have to pay for one. But hey, it's super useful. Now I have a calendar in my menu bar, and it helps me all the time. I'm just a little annoyed that I have to buy an app to get that feature.
Definitely a heavy user of Fantastical here as well. So, yep, I second that. I'm going to go with one that we've talked about on the show before, but I absolutely love, and that's Sound Source from Rogue Amoeba.
I was wondering how long it was going to take you to get to this one.
Oh, I got to get this one out of the way right away. It bails me out more times than I can tell you. When it comes to just audio coming into the Mac, audio going out of the Mac. texted you recently about something that happened, and I'm spacing on the story. That
you were watching a concert in the
oh yeah, I was watching the Project 86 concert.
which, by the way,
and
Project 86, I haven't heard that name in a long time. So kudos to you.
Oh, this is like this has been my band for, gosh, I saw them in the summer of 1999. Just after they released their first album, and I've loved them ever since. But they played their second album, Drawing Black Lines. They played from the first song all the way through to celebrate the 20th anniversary of that album. So I was totally stoked to see that. They streamed it online, so it was fun. I actually took the day off of work to do that, so that was cool. But Sound Source kind of bailed me out on that one because I really didn't like the way that the sound guys were mixing it for the live stream. Which, I mean, there's only so much you can do. If they don't have the vocals turned up enough, you're not going to pull vocals out of it. But I didn't feel like there was enough bass in the live stream, and maybe a little bit too much mid-range and stuff like that. So I was able to go into Sound Source and actually tweak the EQ coming out of just Safari, because I was watching it in Safari. I was able to tweak the EQ. I was able to, I could have put filters on it. I could have used Isotope Nectar to modify the sound. There's so many things that I could have done in Sound Source because it uses all the features of any feature that you have in the audio.
You can use Nectar. You can use Nectar with Sound Source.
You can use Nectar in Sound Source.
Wow.
Yep.
So any like audio plugin on your machine you can use. That's pretty gnarly, dude.
It's crazy. I love this app. It gives me a granular control over not just the audio coming out, the audio going in, alerts. You can set up any alerts, system alerts to output through whatever you want them to output through. So I have my studio monitors in the office here, or in my studio here. I don't want the alerts going through that. I want it to come out of the computer speakers. So I actually have it routed to come out of the service or the computer speakers and not the studio monitors. So they're separate. So the reason for that is that I have a TV in here as well, and I will sometimes have the studio monitors playing what's coming out of the TV, which is not going to be an issue with the computer unless there's an alert on the computer that I want to know. And then if it's routed to go to the studio monitors, then I won't hear it. So this way I can still hear the alerts on the computer. And you can switch those around anytime you want to. So it's pretty cool. Plus you can adjust the audio to the granular level using, extensions, using the EQ, everything per app as well. So like I said, in Safari, when I was watching this the other day, I went to the Safari app volume specifically and adjusted all that in Sound Source. I did not do a global change, just in Safari. So super cool app. They've got sound effects. Like I said, you can get to your audio plugins, all that kind of stuff right in Sound Source. So super sweet.
Yeah, free version just downloaded.
Mm-hmm. And you can also do what they call volume overdrive. That if you want to boost your volume even higher than what the computer's allowing it to do, you can boost it up to 4 times louder than which I don't do because that's stupid. But you can go up to 4 times louder than what the computer is allowing you to do.
Seems dangerous.
I think so too. I'd probably blow the speakers out, but yeah. And I use this when we record sometimes too, because I can't see my audio as easily. Well, I can now, but when I'm setting up all my equipment, I don't see the audio as well. This actually shows me the audio level coming into the computer, the audio level going out of the computer, all that. And you can put it up on the menu bar. So all the apps that are running right now that you want showing up in the menu bar, you can put up there, so you can see the volume level of everything that is giving you volume or giving you audio up in your menu bar if you so choose to do that. So it's very cool. I love this app. I use it all the time. So that's Sound Source from Rogue Amoeba. Yeah, download the trial, try it out, and give them some money.
For sure. So my next is another Rogue Amoeba app. It's called Loopback. And this allows you to create virtual sound sources on your computer of any sort of application or external microphone or whatever that you can then pipe into others. So key example here, playing audio from your computer on a Zoom call is not possible. You can't play audio on your computer and have the people on your Zoom call also hear it unless you have Loopback and you can create a virtual input device that includes your microphone and the audio source from your computer, and it shows up to Zoom. So guess what I get to do now on my Zoom calls for work? I get to play DJ and play some music, and it blows everyone's mind because they're like, how did you do that? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, haha, technology, friends. So that's not obviously the only use case, but it allows you to control what audio goes in, how it goes in, what order it goes in on, and then how it goes out. And so it allows you to create custom audio setups for your computer as far as inputs and outputs are concerned. So it's like a giant mixer board.
Yep. And I love the way that they visualize that now. Like the older versions of Loopback weren't quite as visual as the newer versions, and much easier to work with than the older versions.
Yeah, it's a little hard to wrap your head around at first, just kind of what's going on. But then once you get it, it's like, oh, boom, click, 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 done. And it's like you just have to get used to it in the way that it works, and you can get a lot done with it. So highly recommend.
Right now, I could be using this if we were set up a little bit differently to record into Adobe Audition and be able to set up Chrome or let's say Skype. If we were using Skype, I could have Skype as a sound source. I could have my mic as a sound source. I could have the computer as a separate sound source, and be able to route those all into different channels so that if I wanted to record and multi-track in Adobe Audition, I could set that all up to do that. It's just beautiful how that works. And I've used it before. I was having a mix minus issue with my setup here at one point, and I used Loopback to fix that. So very cool.
Nice.
Have you used Hazel before?
A long time ago, and I know like David Sparks from Mac Power Users and Automators podcast fame is a huge proponent for Hazel. Again, this is like drafts. It's one of those things where it's like that we talked about last episode, right? This is one of those things like I see the value in it. I want to use it, but I don't have a use case for it.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear your take on this.
So I really appreciate Hazel. I wish I had more use cases for it than I do. I have gotten to the point now where I have a lot of little buckets that I put files into. So I've got downloads, which I would like my downloads folder to get cleaned up on a regular basis. And I don't do that on a regular basis. And so it kind of gets to be a problem when I finally sit down. I'm like, okay, it's Mac management day. I got to go through and I got to clean all this stuff up. And then it just ends up being kind of a pain to do. So that's one use case that I have for Hazel. Now, we should say Hazel is an app that basically you can assign, you can take it and say, okay, I want you to monitor this folder. And here's all the rules that I want you to abide by. And this is what I want you to do. So the downloads folder, I have a Hazel rule built in there that if anything has been added over a week ago, put it into an archive folder inside that folder. And the whole reason behind doing that is that if I download something right now, I don't want to search through 20 or 30 apps that I have in that, or 20 or 30 files that I have in downloads to try and find it. I want to be able to open up the downloads folder, and there may be like 2 or 3 files in there, and just double click the file and go. Where that was a problem before, where I would just collect a bunch of stuff in the downloads folder and it would never get dealt with. So now when I do sit down to do my Mac management, I can go into that downloads archive folder and go through and just clean all that out. And it kind of solves that problem for me. I could have it delete everything, but I've had problems in the past with it deleting stuff that I hadn't touched yet. or hadn't used yet to, because I downloaded it and I forgot about it, and then a week later it was gone. So I don't have it auto delete, but you can set it up to do that. But I have a few other use cases for it. That's one of the, like, I have different folders that are monitored for, like, folders that I only keep like current projects in. So if that project hasn't been modified in the last month, put it into an archive folder within that folder, so that if I can't, if I haven't touched it in a while, I don't want it to be in the way. And if it does get archived incorrectly, I can go into the archive folder and pull it back out and modify it. If that starts to be an issue where it's being too aggressive with that, I can change the rule to say, okay, maybe it's something I haven't touched in the last year or in the last 3 months or something like that. So I can do a lot of stuff with that to customize that. So make sense?
Indeed.
I mean, there's so much more that you can do. I mean, I could literally, I once set up a rule, which it started to get a little bit too aggressive, and so I just killed the rule. But I set up a rule for the desktop at one point that if it's a file that is an MP3 that is over a week old, put it in this folder. If it's a PDF that is older than this amount of time, put it in this file, and it would just start auto sorting into folders. I'm sorry, not file, folders. It would start auto sorting into folders. Well, part of the problem that I was having is that I would download a file that was created, say, 2 years ago by somebody, and I would slide it onto the desktop because I needed it there to handle it for a project, and it would see that it was older than a week, and it would file it. And so that's one of the reasons why I deprecated that rule. So
I would say to anyone who's listening to Mitch explain this and going, ooh, that sounds interesting, I would direct your attention to the Mac Power Users podcast and their extensive back catalog, and go look for their episodes on Hazel, because David Sparks is obsessed.
He's a wizard.
Yeah, and Mitch just dedicated 5 minutes to explaining it. You will find, I'm sure, more than 5 hour-long episodes that David, and at that point, Katie, his co-host at that point, dedicated to explaining their flows with Hazel. So if Mitch at all scratched an itch for you there, just explaining what Hazel can do and some of his use cases, those episodes in the Mac Power Users back catalog are going to blow your brain.
And it's one of those apps that, for years I would always say, don't work for technology, let technology work for you. And just to say that if there's tasks that you do on a regular basis, automate them. You don't need to be thinking about all this stuff all the time. Let the computer do the work. So that's just one of those apps where, once you have that set up, it does everything for you. You don't have to think about it.
For sure.
Sometimes you do have to remember where it went. That's why I try to make it kind of idiot proof for me that the archive folder that I want it to go to is in the folder that I know it's going to be in. So it kind of idiot proofs that for me, but you bet. All right, man. What's next on the list?
For me, it's Alfred.
Okay.
Alfred, at its most base use case, is a spotlight replacement, but it is also much more powerful than that. So you can, I have my Alfred set to the command space, which is usually spotlight, but I could do like 2 + 2, it does math for you. I could say, I could just type in, let's see, Minnesota Wild. And then my first option is to search on Google. I can search on Amazon, or I can search Wikipedia. So I'll search Wikipedia. So you get that sort of stuff. But then there's this Power Pack add-on that lets you build your own custom workflows. And there's also an iOS app that's the Alfred Remote that lets you trigger stuff on your Mac from your iOS devices. So again, at its base, it's a spotlight replacement, but the features and the capabilities of what you can do, should you choose to buy the Power Pack and dive in, you can do some truly incredible stuff just by hitting command space and typing a command in, and you can run scripts. You can set up all sorts of different like workspace environments. Like it really is an incredibly powerful app. Now, it's not Keyboard Maestro. It's not that level of, you can automate where to click on the screen and that sort of stuff, right? But it does give you the power to control an incredible amount of things on your Mac simply by typing in command space and a keyword or two. So it's one of my favorites. It's been around again for a really, really, really long time. It gets better with each revision. I think it's Alfred 4 right now is the current version. And I enjoy it. And it's got a nice little butler, bowler type cap in the menu bar, which I just think makes me happy. It's one of those small things. It's like, oh, that's cute. So
yeah,
have you used Alfred before, Mitch?
I used it briefly when I was exploring app launchers and stuff like that for the Mac. It's not something that I stuck with just because it didn't really do for me what it's done for you. I will actually piggyback on your, if you're done with that one, I'll piggyback on that and say the app launcher that I use is LaunchBar. I really like LaunchBar for a lot of the same reasons that you're saying. It just provides that spotlight replacement and gives you a lot of flexibility. I use a lot of the keyboard manager a lot for that. I'm sorry, the clipboard manager, which gives me the ability to assign a keyboard shortcut to get to the clipboard manager that gives me like the last 15 things that I copied or cut. So that I can paste those, which when I was in radio and I would do a lot of stuff, that came in super useful because I could copy and paste like 5 different things and then go in and write my scripts and just be, copying stuff here and there everywhere that I needed it. I still use it from time to time when I need to copy multiple items to paste them into another document, or if I need multiple things. Sometimes I use this when I'm setting up the podcasts for the church. If I need like 2 or 3 different things copied, different sections of text, I can go back into the clipboard manager. If it was like the 3 things ago that I copied, I can go into that clipboard manager and kick that back out. And that's mainly beyond just searching for applications and files and stuff like that. That's mainly how I use that. I love the integration with Google. I can just hit command spacebar and hit Go, and it pulls up my Google pulls up Google. Tap the spacebar, type in my query, and then it pulls up Safari and searches for whatever I put in there. So I can do those searches from anywhere. I don't need to be in Safari to do that.
Yeah, so pretty much everything you just said, Alfred can do too.
Right.
So I think it really is just a preference on which app you prefer. So yeah, you can do, G space Star Wars and it will search Google for Star Wars, right? There's clipboard history. You can save text, images, and files to your clipboard. You can do snippets and auto expansion as well with Alfred. And then you can control iTunes with Alfred. So if you're listening to music, you can control it with command space and that sort of stuff, file management, yada, yada, yada. So, and you can even run shell and terminal commands for, the truly nerdy among us. But I think, like you said, the features for the most part are the same. So LaunchBar, Alfred, it really is, I think price point and preference at that point for what you want to do.
Right.
So
my pick here, just to piggyback on yours, will be LaunchBar because it is very useful.
Yeah. So back to me then, huh? Clean My Mac 10 or X, depending on your preference. On my Mac Mini that has a 250 gig hard drive, this app is a must-have because it will go and it will clear out a bunch of caches, a bunch of like extra like language package. Like I don't need the Czechoslovakian version on my computer, right? Like I don't. And it will also locate old and large files, and helps you uninstall apps completely. So all of the added stuff that some apps will add to your computer, it goes and removes all that. It gives you like a high level view of what's taking up space in your computer. It's called like Space Lens. It's got a file shredder. It's really, really powerful. It does a smart scan, which is to like go through your computer. Oh, here's 4 gigs of crap you don't need, or you can really dive in. And it also has like maintenance scripts for your Mac to help it, stay healthy. It's incredibly, incredibly useful. And between my 250 gig Mac Mini and then my old 128 gig Air MacBook Air that I had for 5 years, the only reason I was able to use that computer for that long was because of Clean My Mac, and also because I had my Dropbox files on an external USB drive, which is always a bit scary, but it works. You just have to be really careful. But it keeps smaller hard drives cleaner and prolongs their ability to be viable, which is great. And it has a pleasant sound when you do the cleanup, which is always nice.
So I'm going to try not to piggyback on that directly, but something that I just started using that I'm really enjoying. The reason for it is that Clean My Mac is part of this. Have you seen Set App?
Yeah.
I started a trial of it, and I'm about to pay for it because I love this concept. Basically, we've talked about subscribing to software before, but for $10 to $15 a month, they've got like 200 some programs or apps for the Mac that you can download, and there's iOS versions of a lot of those as well. There may be some iOS apps specifically that are in this, but for $9.99 you get Mac apps for one Mac. For I think it's $12 or $13 a month, something like that. You get one Mac plus the iOS apps, and for $14.99 a month, you can use it on up to 4 Macs and get the iOS apps as well. So I'm trying the $14.99 a month thing because I do have a couple of different Macs that I want to be able to put this software on. But Clean My Mac was one of the first ones I downloaded, and it's great.
You can get Ulysses as part of this too.
Ulysses is in there,
and MindNode.
Yeah, there's some really cool apps that are available through SetApp. So definitely, I hadn't planned on bringing this up, but SetApp is definitely worth checking out. So I heard people say that for years, and I just thought, SetApp, you're just another subscription. But there's some really cool stuff in here. Your Do app that you talked about on the last episode is part of this.
Good Task is part of this. What do you know?
Oh, did you say Good Task is in there?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm a huge user of Downy, which is a app for. Actually, I should put that in my list for today. But for downloading YouTube videos, there's Bartender. You know what? I got to stop ruining all my picks. But for the show today, but yeah, there's some really cool stuff in SetApp. So I will make that my next pick. And just a quick note for all of you listening, I am putting links to all of these apps in the show notes. So if you forgot the name of something, or if you're not sure where to go to find it, they will all be in the show notes for today's episode.
So my next pick is Mainstage, which I think I've talked about before in the show.
We have.
But yeah, so in short, Mainstage is a partner application for Logic, but its intention is for live performance. So you get access to the full Logic sound library with all of the controls and everything that you would need to modify, adapt, or change those sounds. But it allows you to route your vocals through it, route your keyboards through it, route your guitars, whether they be acoustic, electric, or bass. And then you can, model amps and stomp boxes and different, keyboard types. And so I use it when I play at church, when I play the keys And so I'm able to, layer a pad underneath a piano so I can play, one chord, but you get the chord, the bright chord from the piano and the underlying pad underneath it that are the same notes. And I've got, a whole guitar setup as well that's got like amp models and, different effects and pedals and stuff for my guitars. So it has opened a whole new world of live music for me, and subsequently has changed the way that we do music at our church, which is super, super cool. So, and it's like $30. It's stupid how much you get for such a reasonable price, considering how much all of that stuff would cost to like buy pedals and new amps and stuff, or buy, a keyboard that has all of that built in. You're talking thousands of dollars at that point for like a nice Nord or something like that, but then hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, for pedals and amps. So it's I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
Main stage. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about Downey since I brought it up with the setup. Downey is we talked about the Project 86 show that I watched here a couple of weeks ago. Don't tell them, but I recorded it using Downey. I will not post it online. It's for my personal use only. I absolutely like Downey is the app that I use for downloading YouTube videos for recording live. You can record live videos on YouTube and other services. It's just a one-stop shop for just about any video that you want to download online. There's obviously some restrictions. You can't go to Hulu and just start downloading whatever you want on Hulu because they've got lots of protections and stuff against that. But when you're talking about Hulu, when you're talking about Vimeo and some of the other video sites, you can download anything you want from those sites using a tool like Downey. There's other tools too that are out there for doing that, but I like Downey a lot. It is in SetApp. Otherwise, you can also, I think I purchased it separately. I was using it before I subscribed to SetApp. But I really like Downey. And if you're looking for a tool to get YouTube videos, one of the things I use it for is at church, we will want to play something off of YouTube or something like that, whether it's in the sermon or sometimes with some of the more patriotic holidays, they might want to pull something off of YouTube to play in the presentation. I like downloading those videos because I don't want to trust the internet, especially when it comes to us also doing live streaming now. The bandwidth just gets tasked trying to pull that stuff down. So the fact that I can just download it, throw it into our presentation software, and just play it straight out of the presentation software works really well and makes it just dead simple for me and the guys that I work with back in the sound booth to be able to manage all of that. So Downey, good stuff. DOWNIE. And it will be in the show notes for you guys as well.
So like anything left that I have to mention really aren't unsung heroes. Like I think we got to that point when I started talking about main stage. So like I might pass it back to you because everything else that I'm going to bring up is stuff that everyone already knows about. So I'm talking like Logic, Final Cut, IA Writer, right? The stuff that I use every day. So no need to dive into those. So Mitch, it might just be lightning round for you, sir.
Yep. I think some of the episodes or some of the podcasts called the Bring Out the Dead round. Just all the other stuff.
I'm not dead yet.
It's just a flesh wound. VPN I use for just safety when I'm out and about. Also, I would never do this, but if somebody wanted to play poker and be able to play with money, and you don't live in New Jersey, you could pretend like you're in New Jersey or pretend you're in a different country to be able to stream video that is only available in other countries. You can use VPN services for that. I've never done that, and I'm not a liar, but it is possible to do that with a VPN service. And ExpressVPN just upgraded.
You can only play poker online for real money if you're in New Jersey?
Yep. New Jersey.
Seriously?
And I want to say Vegas, like Nevada, possibly. I forget, but yeah, they shut that down years ago.
Happen?
Really? Gosh. In the last 10 years, but it's been longer than 5 or 6 for sure. That happened quite a while ago.
I had no idea.
I mean, I usually play money anyway. I don't like the stress of losing money. but I've only done it a couple of times. But just the fact that that is available, but it also hides any of the stuff that you're doing from your ISP as well. So if you're legally downloading something using BitTorrent, which I realize is very few use cases for that, but there are some. The ISP doesn't know what you're downloading from a BitTorrent, but if they do see the signature of that traffic, they will call you on it. So but yeah, ExpressVPN really works well for that. 1Password, kind of surprised that
Oh
didn't come
yeah,
up. 1Password
yeah.
is an awesome password manager.
That's one of those ones where, like, honestly, I don't even think about it being
Mm-hmm.
1Password anymore. It's just like, oh, I just need to go get a password. And like Face ID, like I don't even think about it anymore. I've used it so much. So good call out, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a keychain with Apple, which I do use and I do find useful, especially for the iPhone and iPad. But when it comes to my Mac, 1Password has all my passwords in it. You can keep secure notes. I keep all my software licenses in 1Password, so that if I ever have to go back and re-download software, or I'm setting up a new Mac, one of the first things I download is 1Password, so that then I can access all of my software licenses there, so that makes it much more easy and simple than having to search my email to find them. So what else? I'm looking at my menu bar here to see if there's anything in my menu bar that Daisy Disk was another one that I've used before for managing the storage on my Mac.
Yeah.
For being able to find stuff that I can delete, I guess is the big thing. So
you ever use Backblaze?
I have not used Backblaze. I used Carbonite years ago, which is a very similar thing for doing online backup, but I've never used Backblaze.
I used Backblaze for a while. It's like $5 a month. It's unlimited backups. So like I had, my MacBook Air, which was 128 gig drive. I had my Dropbox on a separate, USB drive, and then I had a 5 terabyte external drive, and it would back up all of that to their servers for $5 a month. And then, the trick is when you need them to send you a hard drive, then you got to pay, however much money for them to send you a hard drive so you can, get your backups. But it's, $5 a month at a peace of mind. I haven't done it in a while because I have everything in Dropbox and iCloud really, so I don't really see the need because literally everything is stored in the cloud now. Between those two.
No, and one of the big reasons why I don't do a online backup right now is that pretty much everything that I have is backed up either in iCloud, in Office 365, or in OneDrive, I should say, or it's in Dropbox. So there isn't a lot of stuff that is I would actually need a separate online backup for. A couple other apps. One app that I discovered on SetApp is Unite. It basically, you can put in a URL of a website and it creates a little applet for it. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
There's a couple other apps that do the same thing like that. I forget what they're called, but I've tried it before. It's interesting to have like Instagram in an app form on your Mac or whatever.
An app that an app that I've used for years that I just downloaded the new version because it's available through SetApp is Forklift. I don't know if you've seen this app before, but it's one of the original Mac apps that would give you a side-by-side view of two different folders on your Mac, or a folder on an FTP server, or a folder on a external drive, or something like that. It's really convenient for doing file transfers to clean up a Mac. If you like, I have a laptop that for the longest time it was just managing the storage on that laptop. I would use Daisy Disk to identify stuff that I could delete, but then I would use Forklift to take, this group of files and transfer it over to an external drive. Or when I was at the radio station, I used it for transferring files from my local drive to our FTP server. And so it was just a really convenient way to basically just drag and drop your files from the local drive into another drive that you want to back it up on. So, or transfer it to. So it was a pretty cool little app. I don't use it a lot, but when I do use it, it's very useful to have.
For sure. And those are the nice ones just to have in your back pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you do need it, you don't have to think about it. You can just hop over there, do your thing, and then set it aside until you need it again down the road. For sure.
I don't think that there's anything else. We talked a little bit about drafts on the last episode. Oh, stupid. Have you used Bartender before?
Mm-mm. I know of it. I just have never used it because I don't have enough stuff in my menu bar to justify it.
Man, I am one of those guys. I love hoarding menu bar apps. And because it's just so convenient to have them up there when I need them, So I like to have the little menu bar icon up there, but there came a point especially with my laptop, a little bit less with my iMac because there's so much screen real estate, but they would just fill up the entire top of the screen. And I hated that. I wanted a way to be able to manage that. And Bartender does that. Bartender allows you to put the stuff up in the menu bar that you want there all the time. Then there's a separate little shelf. I think they call it a shelf or something like that you can keep all the other ones, or you can just completely hide them. And for the longest time, before Big Sur, because Big Sur has a lot of limitations as to what you can do with the system menu bar items. But I would hide pretty much all the Apple ones and replace them with other apps. So even my clock and stuff like that, I replaced with other things. And I'm fine with the clock that's on here now, but I would, that way I could customize them to do what I wanted to do. There were apps that I had that would stack the clock with the date and time, or the date, so that you were using less space in the menu bar for that stuff. It wouldn't work on my iMac, but it was nice on my MacBook to be able to do that, because my MacBook's a little lower resolution, so everything was bigger in the menu bar. But when they updated, they added another feature to Bartender that allows you to put a space in between your
yeah, that's nice,
items. So now, if you look at my menu bar, I have all the system stuff, and then Bartender's icon are there. Then there's a space, and then I have all the icons that are up there for Sound Source, because I have one that's the Sound Source menu bar item, and then there's a little level showing the computer output, and the little level showing my mic. And so I have those kind of separated from everything else. Then I have Dropbox and OneDrive separated from everything else. So there's a little space after that. And then anything else that's in my menu bar is after that space, going from right to left. So, and then along with Bartender, let me see if that works here. You can click on the Bartender icon to pull up the shelf that shows you everything else that's running in the menu bar. So I have like my Wi-Fi, I've got Time Machine in there, and a bunch of others. So yeah, so it hides a lot of that stuff away, so you're not seeing it all the time. And if you don't want to see it, you don't have to see it, which is really nice. So yeah.
Very good.
Cool. Well, I think that's about all I've got. Anything you wanted to add there?
No, it's just there's a wonderful world of Mac applications out there, and it's fun to explore and to find new things. And so hopefully this episode you found one or two things that are at least interesting enough for you to take a peek at. And it would be really cool for folks that are listening to send us some feedback on their favorite, Unsung Heroes or menu bar items or apps that they like that we didn't mention, because guess what? we're nerds and we like this stuff, and it'd be really interesting to hear what other people are using it and how they're using it, to see if there isn't something out there that we could benefit from too. So if you have stuff, recommendations that you'd like to send our way, but that would be awesome. The easiest way is probably through Twitter, right? And so, Mitch, what's your Twitter handle?
Mitch Craig.
And I'm at Cam Brennan. So send us your faves. That'd be fun. We start a conversation about it.
You betcha. And if you need to find, if you're just listening to us and you haven't gone to our website yet, it's innerdialogue.show. So check that out. And there's a link there to subscribe any way you want to. So definitely, we're both Overcast users, right? I use Overcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have been. Oh, man. Okay. Teaser for next episode.
Sure.
Yes, Overcast, but also Air, AIRR, for its ability to capture quotes from the podcast and send them elsewhere, which I will reveal in our next episode.
All right. That's a teaser. Mm-hmm. So tune in a couple of weeks for that. All right. Anything else today, sir?
No, sir. I'm going to go play with Sound Source. That's what I'm going to go do.
Excellent. Enjoy. That is an awesome app. So, all right. Check us out. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, and hopefully I can say go Packers today. Hopefully. Woo.
Oh boy. So, all right. We'll see.
We'll find out tomorrow. All right. We'll see you later, Cam.
Peace.